Welcome to another episode of Ask Cindy Connector Live. Happy Pay It Forward Friday. Well, welcome. This is Cindy, your host at Ask Cindy Connector Live. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And go to YouTube. You're going to hit that subscribe button. You're going to hit that bell icon to get notified of other awesome videos. So a really big plug today for Miss Stephanie Massman. Just want to do a big shout out to her. She's been a lucrative part of my success for this show. So I just wanted to thank her. So if you would love to go to Mexico, I am gifting you a 6-day, 5-night giveaway. Simply share this broadcast, go to the YouTube, subscribe and comment, and I will give you your getaway. So really quickly, what is the show about? Well, Ask Cindy Connector Live is a way for me to connect you to my sphere of influence. I started this brand about 3 years ago. And now I am live and in color every single Friday, 1, 2, and 3 Pacific. So if you would like to comment on the broadcast today, please go to streamyard.com/Facebook. And if you'd like to learn more about having a video podcast, or you'd like some tips on how to have a YouTube and get yourself branded on YouTube, simply just go to AskCindyConnectorLive.com. So I'm an ambassador with National Day Calendar. Woohoo! And I'm one of the designated speakers coming up in mid-September for the very first summit in beautiful Las Vegas. So a big plug to National Day Calendar. It's Corn on the Cob Day and Make Life Beautiful Day. So today on this show, I have Mr. Jim Connolly with CEO Chef Consulting. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Cindy. Thanks for inviting me.
A big shout out to Casey Everhart. So that's how we have started our relationship here over the last 6 or 7 months. So I'm very grateful for him and very grateful for you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And yes, Casey Everhart, he's the man. He brings people together, and I'm so glad he brought us together.
Thank you. So tell my audience a little backstory and what inspires you, what you're doing today.
Oh, gosh. Backstory. I always go from the origins of understanding what you're meant to do on this earth. And just to make it quick, I'm really here to help people reach their potentials. Now, on a professional level, I said I'm here to help business people understand their business potentials so they can either work on their revenue production or their strategies and work, or just understanding how to get your people to work better as a team, just so they can have the business of their dreams, and which translates to your life and your dreams.
So what's your ideal client?
Oh gosh, my ideal client, first of all, it's someone who wants and desires their goals more than I do. And you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be surprised how many people that don't want their goals more than I would want for their goals. So my ideal person would be somebody who has a business that is either pretty new or it's been operating for a while, and they're already great at what they do. They have an idea what they want to do, but they want to bring it to another level. And when they go to that other level of doing, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So once it's outlined, we put a plan together, and then from that plan we just knock one obstacle down at a time. And I like to think as I go in there almost like a partner would, going in there and I have their interests at heart, and their success becomes my success.
So what are your some tips for this week? Like some clients that you work with, or maybe some Zoom meetings that you just realize that there needs to be more tips out there? Like, say, for instance, let's start with some Zoom etiquette.
Oh, Zoom etiquette. Don't chew with your mouth full.
Don't eat on camera.
Yeah, that's the better one. Don't eat on camera. Look at Zoom as just another business meeting. Would you show up with with your sleepy eyes and your hair is a mess and you're walking around with a half a sandwich in your hand? No, you wouldn't do that. It's just like a regular meeting. The only difference is you have the convenience of being able to be anywhere in the world at any time. And I think that's a great convenience in itself. Don't take it to the next level and think it's the world coming into your bedroom, and you're just kicking back, and the world is coming to see you. No, you're connecting with other people of like minds. You should treat it with respect as you would if you walked in their office.
Now, would you mind talking about a couple networking groups like Expand the Business, the Mary West Network, and also that group that Rook has?
Yes, and you know what? I said I was just on both of them. I tease Mary West. I call her Mary Wild Wild West, and that gets a big smile on her face. And you know what? It says she cares so much, and I love that about a business person who cares. You really feel like their heart. In fact, this is she sent this to me in the mail, and I think it's so fun. Look at this. It's like I get to play a
What?
game. Look at that. See, probably the first person on your show that ever did that, right?
Oh my God. We need to find when there's a national day for that, and we'll do a
Yes.
video.
And the reason she sent it is she wanted to remind me. It says to smile and have fun a little bit. She thinks I work too hard, which I don't know. I think when I work, I'm playing. And she
Yeah.
gave me that paddle ball just to make sure it reminds me. So I have it usually hang in my office, but I took it down just for you. I figured there must be an opportunity to use it. And Casey's Expand Your Business Growth group is, boy, these groups keep growing, and I just love the connection with some really first-rate people. I'll be honest, I was never one to really go to many networking groups. It never really was my desire, and it's become an important part of my networking with people in general, especially during the pandemic. And then I've just today I was with another group of people, Kim Walsh Phillips, and oh my gosh, the quality of people that are getting onto the internet that are networking is just sky high. I mean, I'm just super, super impressed. And I get to work with people all over the country and the world because it's unlimited. So, yeah, some good stuff, really good stuff out there.
So let me do a little etiquette and shut my phone off because since we've been on, I've been getting blown up. Okay. So let's talk about your book.
Oh, which one you want to talk about?
The one to the left or to your right, I guess.
You
Right
know,
straight behind you.
this book right here, this is not for everybody, but it'll give you a laugh anyways. This is called Cooking Team Building: How to Access the Hearts of Your Employees by Way of Their Stomachs. Now you're asking yourself, what the heck is that? I do a lot of work with larger companies that are always looking for ways to increase the productivity and with their people. And team building has got a bad mark because there's a lot of junk out there, and unfortunately, that's the case where they don't really understand the concept of how to build a team. Well, my background is in organizational development, and I've put a lot of these concepts to work. And because, as you know, it says I also have skills as an executive chef, and I did that. Was my first love was hospitality business, and I have training and experience in that world, especially having a five-star restaurant. And I always saw how people would conjugate around food, especially. I'm sure Cindy is going to know you're a professional chef as well. That when people come over your house, they all go to the kitchen, and the first thing they say to you is what?
Well, actually, a couple weeks ago, I had a Eat, Pray, Love paint party, and I did Balinese food from Bali. They're
Nice.
like, "Wow." Yeah, because the plates were, like, all fancy and, fruit platter and all that stuff, and then we did some skewers with peanut sauce, and then I did
Ooh.
which isn't on my lifestyle choice because 'cause I'm losing weight, but we had some, mango puree with some
Mm.
Malibu rum in it.
Nice. But
Yes.
when they come over your house, don't they come peek their head in and say, "Hey, can I give you a hand?"
No?
They don't do that. Well, they do that with me all the time. And you know what I say? Sure, come on in. And I get them
Well,
a
yeah,
cutting
they'll help
board
me,
and
but a
a
lot of
knife.
times they just wanna see me in my element, like, "Oh, we don't wanna mess with that." Like, "Well, if you wanna be my sous chef for the day, I'm glad to tell you what you can do today."
I guess you put that R off. This is my kitchen. Get out of here.
No, no. But normally I have if I have a group of people here, they're jibber jabbering, and yeah, so I just do my thing, and I'll have one friend who's a sous chef and all that, but I just want
Nice.
people to enjoy the time. I don't want them to be in the kitchen with me. I want them drinking or enjoying each other, getting to know each other. So it's all about being a connector, right?
Exactly. And that's the reason where the idea of a cooking team building, bringing people together and getting them to understand each other in a whole different way. Most of the people that I work with, they don't do that professionally. They don't do that probably even at home. In fact, most of the executives I work with, the only thing they know how to make are reservations. It's a little. There you go. I was waiting for that. So when they get together and they're given a task to make their own meal from scratch, it is really special to see the bonding that goes on, and we actually even connect what their big vision is with their company and for that year with the actual exercise itself. So that's why I love this book, even though it's not for everybody, but it has real good team and leadership concepts in there, and most of my books are built on team and leadership ideas.
Well, it's actually really lucrative that both of us we're culinarians because as a chef or culinarian, you learn to work with the team. So you have the executive chef, sous chef, you got chef de partie, you got the oh, the vegetable chef, you have the person who reads out the tickets. Yeah,
Hmm.
oh, garde manger. Yeah, I used to be a garde manger chef. So everyone
Mm.
needs to kind of work together. So coming from a background of culinary arts, that actually helps us in our current business. Although we're not really
Oh
doing it
my
as a
gosh.
living anymore. But yeah, that's how you're more organized. Mise en place. Tell our audience what mise en place is.
Oh, mise en place. Uh, I use that actually, that term, I use that when we work with a client. And
Oh, nice.
so we teach them concepts, even though it has nothing to do with food many times when I'm talking with a client. When I use the term mise en place, we say we do it as a real concept as well as a joke, and I'll explain that. Back in the day, it says when people always ask, how are you able to put out all of that food and have it all come up at the right time for the right people? And I told them, I said, it's because you're prepared. And mise en place means it is a French term, and it means everything in its place.
Mhm.
So everything in its place, meaning you have everything chopped or cut or grated or portioned, so you don't have to think about it when you're actually putting it together. Well, when I would teach my people about mise en place, I would take it another level, and I love the fact that you refer to that term because I believe that it's not just physically being prepared, but it's also mentally, emotionally, and then because you're a spiritual being, spiritually. So when everything is connected and you're going that way, you can't help but have success because you have prepared yourself first physically, then the mentally, because you're calm, because you see everything looks great, and then emotionally because you're all balanced out and everything is ready to go, and then spiritually is the thing that brings it together. And that is a very powerful concept that I teach in the business world, not just the business of hospitality, but the business of life. Because if you understand that concept, it'll take you far in life. You don't show up to a show like this just hi, I was on the way to the store. I thought I'd pull over and I'm going to go ahead and talk to Cindy, and maybe we'll have a successful conversation. Maybe we won't. No, we did our mise en place. I know you do a lot of mise en place before the show starts.
Yeah, and actually, I've had some people on the show that were doing it from their car because they had a meeting, which is totally fine. I mean, we still had a very lucrative meeting. So tell everybody about your upcoming Zoom.
Well, my upcoming Zoom, I actually have two programs. Both both are scheduled at the same time, so hopefully you don't get confused. But I'll throw it out there anyways. Every once a month, I do something called the World's Smallest Summit. So WSS, World's Smallest Summit, and you can actually find it at worldsmallestsummit.com. And when you see it, it has different guests. We have 5 guests. They're experts in their field, and we ask one question of everyone, and then they have 9 minutes to answer the question. And then whatever that is, usually it's a huge golden nuggets that I get out of it, and I'm the host. So whenever we do a class like that, people really rave that they're getting information without having to wait. We have so little time nowadays, Cindy. Think about all the pressures that are put on us. So I decided this is the way to go to help people to get to the next point in their life without having to wait all day. So a lot of these summits, 24 hours practically, but typically I see them as 10, 12, 14 hours straight. It's a lot of time to devote to waiting for some information. So we made this program special just to do that. So go ahead and I recommend that you go to that website. And it just so happens if you go to worldsmallestsummit.com and you register for the next one, which I think is July 8th, it just so happens it'll give you also the Zoom number that you can go ahead and join us for our regular Thursday night at 5 o'clock, Attractive Perfect Customer. It's the same time. The only difference is I switch up and I do the summit once a month. But the Attractive Perfect Customer is understanding that we're all about looking for a perfect customer so we can please them as best we can. If we know who they are, we can find out how to talk to them and where to find them. And then we can go ahead and please them because we know their pain, and we can solve the problem, whatever their pain is, because we understand them so well. So those are the 2 ones I recommend. Is like they're both no charge because they're a friend of Cindy's. So just say, I'm a friend of Cindy's, and come on in and bring a friend too.
Well, I want to do a shout out again to Mary West. She's actually taking her podcast mastery with me next week. So I'm very grateful for her to be a part of that. And actually anybody that's a part of your network or Mary's network, I will give 50% off. I have a YouTube mastery class, and then I have the podcast mastery class. So how about guests? Like, how does it work for people? Like if I wanted to be a guest to talk about my podcast mastery, how would I go about that?
To come on my show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just say, Jim, I want to be on there. And I'll say, no problem. I'll get you on there. So it just so happens last night we talked about podcasting, and not to the extent of how you're doing it. Most people need to know the basics. And I teach them the idea that before you even start a show like you have, is to ask themselves why. Why do you want to do it in the first place? Now I know, Cindy, you have your why, and you're so passionate about your shows. Most people, when they go on there, they do a podcast just because some guru told them to do it.
Yeah.
And they just said it'll be good for your business, and they say okay, and they do it, and they really don't enjoy it, or they don't know what the real purpose of it. And so there's a disconnect. You have the podcast here, and over here is where they are, and there's no connection. they have to be connected. You have to be connected to your bigger goal. What is it that you're doing that demands to have a podcast? Because podcast is not easy. I mean, if you love it, you can enjoy it, but it's work to be put into it. It's a lot of organizing. And I think it's important to note that if you do anything you do, and I call this a marketing tactic, if you do any marketing tactic, you gotta love it and you gotta be good at it. So if you don't like talking to people, don't do a podcast.
But the reason that people should do a podcast is because you're actually leveraging each other's connections. Like Mary West and I do that. I speak on her event maybe like once a month or sometimes twice a month. I'm going to be there on the 22nd. And yeah, so I've connected her to people, like literally I'll be live here and then she pops on. And then the person that I'm interviewing, I actually, after the podcast, I actually send an email and introduce them. So I get probably 1 or 2 referrals a week from Mary West. So that is the purpose of podcasting, is you're actually connecting people to other people. Like I say, be the connector.
Exactly. And that's your, we actually outlined last night in the Attract Your Perfect Clients class. What are some of the reasons? Some people have that illusion that they're going to be a big star. And they're going to be they're going to be the next Joe Rogan. And if anybody knows Joe Rogan, is that he has probably, I think it's the #1 podcast out there right now. And there's nothing wrong to aspire to something great, but be aware is if you haven't even done a podcast, so you might want to start it first and then see if it's something that you'd like to continue. It's much like when you started to be a chef, I'm sure you met so many people, especially in school, like culinary school, where they became a chef because they wanted to be on television. That's silliest thing.
That's a pipe dream. Yeah. It's food. And believe me, I worked for the Food Network. I worked in the back end of Food Network for a Napa chef. And when he would do his recipes, he would say half cup. And I'm like, no, that's actually a quarter cup. Yeah. So like all the back end from doing the cooking show until it actually goes live on Food Network, you would not. Yeah. It's worse than YouTubing and podcasting and editing. It's probably one of the hardest shows to edit. People don't realize because they only see the finished version. So,
oh yeah. And you know what it says, there's a few people who are meant to be on television as a celebrity chef, but there's so few. It's like you should do it because you love it. I would speak for my alma mater is Johnson Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, and yes, the best school in the world. And the idea about being in the hospitality business because you love it, not because of the possibility of being a celebrity chef. Now, I did have a show when I was in Northern California. It was a public access show, but I got a lot of notoriety out of it. I couldn't believe how many people would come up, even to this day. And this is like, oh my gosh, 25, 30 years ago. And when I did this show, it was based on health. And it was what's it called? Well, the company was called Living Balance, which is no longer around. But the show was called Fitness for Busy People. You would have loved this show. It was actually really good.
You had to do that again.
Well, I've toyed with it. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it again. But here's the thing: I did the cooking part. I had my partner did the part on exercise, and I was always called her. I was her dummy. I would be the one that she would get that she would have me on the floor, and she'd have me in some crazy position to show a stretch or something, and then we would both talk about mindset, the mindset of health. So we did that for a couple of seasons, and it was like, if you know anything about public access, usually you either pay for the crew, or in this case, this was in Fremont, California. They actually wanted us to have our own crew, so we had all volunteer crews. One being my son, who was, I think, 12 or 14. He was the best cameraman. Oh my gosh, he got those close-ups on the food. We did all this with no budget, yet we created something special. And the food element, I had the individual burners. I had no hoods. I had nothing. I created right then and there a dish in a pan just to show how simple healthy food can be. And my son was assisting in all that stuff. It was a blast. I had a really good time. But what most people don't understand is that was part of the reason I was doing it, because I had a bigger picture of health in America, and that company that we formed was there for going into companies, larger companies, and help their employees. I was not doing it thinking I was going to have some big contract to go on television. And it's just like in podcasting for businesses. If you have a clear idea of why you're doing it and for what reason, in your case, is just to connect with other people, and that's important in business, then that's where you stick to. If you end up getting popular because you're popular, then that's great. Say, Joe Rogan, watch out. Here comes Cindy Lee.
So really quickly, we're about 5 minutes behind in the show, but I couldn't stop you. We have such great rapport when we talk. So I'm like, yeah, let's just keep going on this. So a really quick shout out to your amazing wife, and then we'll close out.
Sounds great. Well, you know what? If you're single and you're looking for your perfect mate, you got to go see Dr. Renee. And the simplest way to do it is just go to her site, which is ReneeLoveCoach.com. That's ReneeLoveCoach.com, and set up an appointment and talk to her. She will fix you up, and you will be so happy for it.
So at the end of the show, I also like to do a plug. So it's going to be less than a minute. I'm just going to introduce myself. I'm going to introduce you, mention your Instagram, because this is for Instagram. If we could get it under a minute, then I can put it on TikTok. Otherwise, it's going to have to go on Insta. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, hello. This is your host, cut. Here we go. Well, hello. This is Cindy, your host at Ask Cindy Connector Live here on Facebook and YouTube. And I have my friend Jim Connolly. He's going to tell you about his Instagram, and we're going to close out. Make sure that you follow the show at Ask Cindy Connector Live.
Great, Cindy. Yeah, we love to connect with you on Instagram. We have some pictures of some of the work we're doing for other clients, and love to be of service.
Awesome. I'm going to put you in the green room. I think there's champagne and maybe some bruschetta in there for you to enjoy. Just hold on right about 1 minute, and I'll see you in there. Thank you. Well, there you go, guys. Definitely connect with Jim. You want to go to his websites. After the broadcast, I will post his upcoming seminar, so you can definitely check that out and definitely be a part of the Thursday meeting. And next on the show, I have Sue with the Ben Project. Very, very excited to chat with her at 2:00. And as always, on Pay It Forward Friday or any day, think of 5 people every single day to express gratitude. Make 5 calls of gratitude and just make a call of nothing but gratitude. Do not talk about business. Just tell that person that you'll call them another time. And be a random person. Like, find people on Facebook and sing happy birthday. Don't be scared. Just do it. It's fun. And it's really going to make a difference to that person, because everybody can post on Facebook and say happy birthday. But who's going to call and sing? That's very memorable. You want to be known, liked, trusted, and remembered. So this is Cindy over at Ask Cindy Connector Live. Shaka, baby.